Look around right now. Seriously, just take a look. It kind of feels like the whole world is fracturing, doesn't it? Turn on literally any social feed and bam, you're instantly hit with this agonizing high-stakes culture war. It's intense, and honestly, it can feel like a tragic moral failure of modern society. But what if this friction isn't a glitch? What if it's actually a highly precise feature of a changing world? Well, in today's Explainer, we're unpacking a truly fascinating text titled Hidden Balance Within Modern Chaos. By the way, you can read the full piece yourself by clicking the link in the description to grab the PDF directly at evolutionrevolutionoflove.com. It approaches our current global polarization from a completely different, almost cosmic vantage point. Okay, let's dive into this. Our source text features this mind-bending exchange where a mystical dragon named Zoran tells a human named Fletcher, what you call culture war is not error. It is the Tao exhaling polarity at planetary scale. I mean, wow, that completely reframes all our anxieties, right? Think about ancient Taoist cosmology. You know, the spinning Taijitu, the classic yin and yang symbol with the black seed in the white and the white seed in the black. Harmony in that system was never ever promised as perpetual agreement. Once upon a time, human villages balanced around a single physical fire. But today, we have 8 billion minds flaring simultaneously across this digital firmament. The scale has absolutely exploded, but that ancient law, it remains exactly the same. To really wrap our heads around this, we have to understand this concept of ontological law. What we're experiencing on a global scale right now is not some grand moral commentary. It is an ontological law. Basically, this means there are inherent mechanical rules governing existence and balance. Now, when we look at societal division, our very first instinct is to just assume, okay, my side is purely good and the other side is purely evil. But this text urges us to view it as a natural mechanical process instead. Like the Tao Te Ching famously points out, high and low define each other. They need each other. Harmony isn't just the absence of tension, it is the highly intelligent regulation of it. And this brilliantly illustrates Dr. John Demartini's research into human values, just scaled all the way up to civilizational levels. When a culture inflates one singular value, whether you're talking about security, freedom, equity, tradition, whatever, way beyond its natural proportion, it sets off a massive chain reaction. The autonomic system of the whole society eventually generates a countercharge to balance it out. The more fanatical the insistence on any one virtue, the more certain it is that its hidden opposite is being pushed down and repressed. And here's the kicker about the mechanics of polarity. Whatever you repress, you magnetize. When one pole overextends, the seed of its opposite inevitably swells up. So take that ancient mechanical rule and drop it right into our modern technological landscape. Identity, on literally every continent, has hardened into ideology. And this is being driven massively by algorithms, what the text beautifully and kind of terrifyingly calls invisible dragons of attention. They act as these giant amplifiers for our natural polarization. Why? Well, because outrage yields data. Data yields profit. And that profit yields even further distortion. In this environment, each side becomes the other's unconscious minister. The more one faction demonizes its opposite, the more it secretly installs that exact opposite's values right into its own shadow. Those repressed values just ferment and bubble until they eventually have to burst forth. But wait, within all this crazy, disintegrating spectacle, there is actually a hidden order at work. And these aren't just comforting thoughts to make us feel warm and fuzzy, they are measurable, compensatory phenomena emerging straight out of the chaos. For example, the sheer visibility of corruption right now, it's triggering this unprecedented global awakening to how power actually functions. Exhaustion with all this polarized certainty is driving literally millions of people toward deep inner inquiry. The utter absurdity of these mutual caricatures is birthing entirely new, alternative communities from the ground up. And the constant weaponization of language, it's sparking a massive counter-movement toward genuine precision and sincerity. These balancing forces are already visible, you just have to look without flinching. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about the actual human cost? We can't just gloss over the fact that families are fractured, trust is completely gone, and people are genuinely hurting. Zoran's response to this pain in the text is incredibly grounding. He says, the suffering is the teaching. The universe is not cruel, it is precise. When a society entirely loses its living, breathing relationship with natural polarity, well, that relationship has to be reintroduced. And historically speaking, it is almost always reintroduced through fire. The pain we feel as a society isn't just some random cruelty. It is the exact evolutionary pressure required for us to finally wake up and learn. Let's move to and see how this builds across our recent history. The outcome of all this fiery tension is what the text calls the third thing. And let me be clear, this is never just some watered-down, boring compromise between two extremes. It's a higher octave altogether. Think about it. The absolute most destructive wars in the early 20th century. They were immediately followed by our most ambitious attempts at international law. Later on, those obscene expressions of totalitarian control eventually produced global human rights declarations and sparked the creation of decentralizing technologies. The pattern is clear. Synthesis always follows extreme polarity. So, bringing it back to right now, our ferocious divisions are actually doing some highly productive work behind the scenes. Yes, it's painful, but this discomfort is deliberately collapsing illusory moral hierarchies. It's actively revealing exactly where our institutions have completely drifted away from their true functions. It's forcing you and me to actually clarify our own values, rather than just passively inheriting whatever our specific tribe tells us to think. Ultimately, this chaos is generating the exact conditions we need as a species to mature past this adolescent moral dualism. That simplistic, childish idea of us versus them. So, how do we actually apply this to our own lives? Ask yourself right now, what societal enemy currently charges your nervous system the most? Like, who really gets under your skin? Now, imagine applying DeMartini's balancing questions to them for 30 days straight. What kind of hidden order might reveal itself to you? Where have you personally benefited from the very divisions that you publicly condemn? And here is perhaps the absolute most challenging question of all. What part of that so-called enemy, their traits, their tendencies, already lives somewhere within you, completely unacknowledged? To take this from some high-level theory down to reality, the text gives us a really grounded daily practice called the collective breath. Here's how it works. First, bring to mind a polarized issue that truly, deeply disturbs you. List out every genuine harm and human cost associated with it. Do not soften it at all. Feel the harsh reality of it. Second, without leaving that feeling, ask yourself, what is the simultaneous benefit, order, or evolutionary pressure emerging from this exact phenomenon? Finally, you just continue asking that question until the emotional charge equalizes and your breath finally returns to your belly. The goal here isn't to become indifferent. It's to become genuinely useful. Because at the end of the day, this evolutionary spiral, it doesn't ask for your permission. It only asks for your participation. The fire of societal transformation is already lit, whether we like it or not. The only variable left is whether humanity learns to ride this flame consciously, or if we're forced to learn through an ever greater conflagration. This is all about achieving collective wu-wei, which means having fierce clarity, but absolutely zero hatred. It means demanding uncompromising accountability, but entirely dropping the ego and the self-righteousness. So the question the Tao is asking us right now isn't which side is right. The real question is, can you hold both sides until the third thing appears? It takes a very strange, very steady kind of love to look at a civilization tearing itself apart and actually see the cosmic breath remembering itself through 8 billion human hearts all at once. The next chapter is written entirely in our choices. Choose with your eyes open. And remember, if you want to explore these massive ideas even deeper, you can find the entire Hidden Balance Within Modern Chaos PDF linked down in the description at evolutionrevolutionoflove.com. Highly recommend checking it out.